Welcome to the Partytrick podcast, where we inspire and empower you to elevate every day.
Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Julie and Monica from the Present app. And it is a fun conversation. We talk about community, being intentional with gifting, some great kind of gifts not to have or do from a hostess gift perspective, all the things that go into kind of these intentional relationships and community that we all deeply crave. Enjoy. Hi, Julie. Hi, Monica. How are you?
Good. Hi,
Great to
Virginia.
see you.
So good seeing you. Julie and I got to be together in New York. Goodness, what was that, like 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
And it was so fun to reconnect. And I wanted to just share, I'm so excited to have Julie and Monica on today. I first connected with them last October at a breakfast in Miami when they were presenting their new company, which is so exciting. We're going to dive into. And I immediately just was so excited because we have so many similarities in terms of kind of our mission. How we're executing it is different, but what we want is community and intentionality and connection. And in my mind, there's so much about like out there right now. We're, as a nation, we're so lonely, and people being seen and heard and identifying that, whether it's an in-person gathering or how we gift and stay connected later. There's so much there, and we're so aligned in terms of that. So I'm really excited to dive right on in. And I'll let whichever one of you wants to jump in first, but tell me a little bit about the history before present. Tell me a little bit of small packages and where we are today.
Yeah, sure. Well, I can start off with that since Monica and I are now on our second company together. We just can't get enough. So we first worked together on building a company called Small Packages, which I started back in 2019 at the very beginning. So it was an e-commerce gifting company, care packages that are perfect for all different occasions. This one for a baby, this one for a divorce, etc. Just making it incredibly easy for people to show up thoughtfully, even when we get so overwhelmed by modern day life. And then during the height of the pandemic, when everybody's life was in disarray and we were going crazy because, of course, we were in the right place at the right time for folks who wanted to connect, Monica and I met through a mutual friend, and she came on board as my co founder. And together we grew and then sold that business.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And now are working on Present, which is our new one. Monica, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah. So, as Julie had said, we started with a gifting company, and that's kind of where Present came from. We got very intimate with our customers, understood the pain point of how to help them take care of their relationships. And that's what Present does. So, not only does it help with gifting, it's a SaaS platform that helps you remember all the little important details that you need to know to take care of those relationships so that you can be more present with the people you care about.
I love that. I will say Julie knows this because I showed her. I'm a little psycho in terms of how I have an Asana project that reminds me when people's birthdays are with countdowns and what have you. And I also always intend to do stuff for this, but then I don't have an easy solution. Then it's like, now I have to go like dive online and figure this out and then find their address and this and the other. So while it's helpful that I've got like step one to kind of remember, like it is a really, I mean, I want to show up for people the way and foster these relationships and show up for people that show up for me. And I set up like part of a system, but you guys finish it like and take it to a whole nother level, which I love.
Yes. And that's exactly what we were hearing from our customers from Small Packaging. Like their intention was always there. They like want to show up, but it was just so hard to follow through. So you nailed it.
Yeah. I mean, again, I think, Julie, this article came out, and I'm just bringing you up with this because we talked about it when I saw you last, but how to make friends, where to make friends, all those articles that have been trending recently, my mind, and this might be a little controversial, it's not really like where to or how to, it's really how to maintain the ones that you have, right? Like people have more people in their networks than they realize. And it's like easy to jump to something novel and find something new, but it's a little bit harder to do the actual work to maintain these relationships. And we're so aligned, like with Party Trick, we want people to host with their friends at home, get people together and you guys want to keep that going. And when you can't see each other, like my best friends are scattered all over the world, I can't have them over for a Sunday supper. It's just like not how my life works. So it's figuring out other ways to maintain these relationships with intentionality.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what Monica and I are working on with this is you pass through so many cohorts in life also, right? You have
Totally.
friends from home and then you move away for a job and then you have your friends in graduate school if you go or then you get married. Like there are all of these different phases of life where you connect with these people that you care about so deeply. And then just because we get so overwhelmed that the human brain is only capable of holding on to so many things at one time, we lose the people that we don't want to, right?
Right.
And so that's really what we're trying to build and what we're trying to use technology for is, okay, can we be your brain extension, right? Can we take the mental load out of maintaining these relationships so that you aren't letting go of anybody if you don't want to?
Totally. Okay, so I have so many questions. I know some of this because I've dug around a little, but I am sure like I would not do a good job explaining. And I've got the experts here. So tell me, like, how does it work exactly? Like, give me the behind the scene as a consumer. How does it work? And then how do you guys choose like what products? And give me some details. Like, walk me through the consumer experience.
Yeah, sure. I'll take this one. So it's actually the whole premise around this is we wanted it to be super user friendly because
Yeah.
we already know the pain point is like people don't want to do more stuff that's not part of their everyday. So that was our whole focus and the way we designed, the way we chose our copy. It's stuff that we already know and see. So how it works is we pull your contacts or friends, people information from multiple different because we know it's not all within the same spot for everyone. So we look
Totally.
at Google, we do Facebook contacts, Facebook primarily for the birthdays and the
Yep.
pictures if you want to bring those in. And then we also do a CSV upload for the people that have a small business, super networky, or have their data in some other place. You can just download it from there and upload it onto our system. And then we are growing like bigger ways to add, such as HR platforms and other CRM platforms like Salesforce. So we know that's a big pain point. It's just collecting all of the fragmented information and putting it all
Totally.
in once.
Yeah.
That is step one. And then the next part is it sends you milestone reminders 10 days before, because like you said, you don't want to know the day of the event. You
Oh
can't
God,
take
no.
action.
Now it's too late. It's like, oh wait. And they live in halfway across the country or halfway across the
Right.
world. It's too late. You can maybe send a text, but
Yeah.
yeah.
And
Right.
even that sometimes you like miss it because it's like the next morning or the day. So we
Totally.
start in 10 days and then another reminder at 5 days. And then within the platform, and Julie can talk more about this, is we are connected to a marketplace of a bunch of very cool brands so that when you get the reminder, you can just close the loop on the platform too.
I
Yeah,
love it.
that was the part that we also wanted to make super seamless with the execution piece. Mental load and execution are like our two watchwords for how we make this really easy for people. So when you get those notifications and it's time to act, you end up in our curated marketplace of over 250 brand partners. They're all businesses, mostly women owned, BIPOC owned, just making that value based shopping incredibly easy so you don't have
Love
to
it.
go do that legwork. And then you know something is going to just be landing on someone's doorstep that's going to delight them, that's going to move their relationship forward, that you're proud and happy to send. So that's how we help the execution piece. And we have cards. That's one of our favorite pieces as well.
I love
Handwritten
that.
card.
Which people don't do enough and is so valued and appreciated. Like I love a good handwritten card, even without again, just all the time. It's thanks for taking the time. It shows that someone stopped, paused. I've been seeing her all those good things. I love okay. I remember you told me about this and I have been so I've my career has been in the events industry, which is a very big gifting industry. And especially as a planner, I mean, it's like Christmas morning, like many mornings of the year. And I love it, but it also created like a lot of junk sometimes and also stuff that wasn't like my preference. So, for instance, and I don't really drink. Like I'm not a drinker, but I have like a garage full of wine because I might drink like twice a year, or if I'm hosting like very lightly, it's just not part of my day to day. But it's very standard in my industry to get gifted like insanely good champagne all the time. I would much rather have like a really beautiful candle or a notepad or stationery or something like that that I'm actually going to use versus something that goes and sits like in my garage, doesn't get touched. So I think you guys have a good solution for this, and I would love to have you share.
Yeah. So yes, we do because so since Julie and I have been in the gifting space, we've gotten a lot of feedback on what people like, and we have a lot of data on what people don't like. So what we built in is this feature where it's called likes and then dislikes. And the dislikes tend to be, it could be preferences, or it could literally be if they have like allergic reaction to something. So
So
you
don't
can,
send Virginia peanuts to someone
yeah,
when they have a peanut allergy. Yeah, good example.
that's like probably the worst gift.
Totally. Except it's really popular. I'm from Virginia originally. People gift
Okay.
Virginia peanuts. It's a very big thing there. And you're like,
Wow.
I cannot believe you gift those. So yeah,
Okay. So
sorry, Virginia peanuts.
somebody using this platform that has you in there will have to make sure they mark no peanuts.
Yep.
But that's what we heard from our clients is like, that's the work, like that's the worst mistake you can make. It's like you went through all this effort, you invested all this money, and you sent something that makes that person not feel safe. So that was actually one item. I know Julie got big feedback on that and why we
Yeah.
prioritize dislikes. And then we have likes. So the nice to haves, like she likes to throw parties. She is a hostess. I think that's one of our likes too. So then we tagged gifts that meet those likes. So when you come onto our platform, you click, hey, it's Virginia's birthday. The list is already curated based on those likes and dislikes. So you'll never miss the target, which is pretty awesome.
I love that. I think it's so amazing and so spot on because again, like everyone wants to send a gift, but if you send a bad gift, it's like it just falls flat. And again,
Right.
it's making someone feel seen and heard. I used to drop hints on with like was back when we would do more Instagram lives, especially like in the wedding industry. I'd be on like an Instagram live with a photographer, and another photographer would ask a question about the gifting. I'm like, I really like this candle. Even it
And
sounds so
hoping
bad.
someone's going to answer
Hoping
that
they hear it.
somewhere.
Totally. And then that way they're not like, okay, here's a bottle of like champagne. I'm like, all right, again, I appreciate it. And I think the thought is what counts and that I was thought of and seen. But at the same point, if you're going to spend the money, you'd rather have it hit home, right? Than just do
Yeah.
something for the sake of doing it.
Absolutely. That's kind of one of our core tenets is that gifting really only moves a relationship forward if you're demonstrating knowledge of the other person, right? Like every relationship exists along a number line, right? And so with every interaction, you're moving from stranger to trusted friend and confidant. So you want to make sure each one of those steps that you're taking is one where you're saying to the other person, like, I see you, I know you, and that just lands in a way that an errant bottle of champagne for someone who doesn't drink like doesn't quite hit the mark.
Hit home the same way. For
Yeah.
sure. I love this. I love this so much. And I also think, I mean, we did a lot on my end as a business, gifting to our customers and like my old clients. And we were really strategic with them, like from an onboarding, like we'd have a new client sign, hey, we'd send something kind of standard. And then it was right around their wedding and then something post. And I mean, I always acknowledge, even still a few years later, happy anniversary. And it's kind of, and I mean, I have a whole Asana calendar called my anniversaries calendar. I can tell you when
You are amazing.
but it's one of those things that it makes a difference. And it allowed them to continue. Like I might have done something to someone's event 4, 7, 10 years ago, but they still think of me. And it's not even a gift 10 years later. It's just a really quick note or text that I send. And it's just, if you value relationships, if you value community, if you can automate it and systematize it and make it better, and you don't have to be psycho like me, you can use present instead. It makes it so much easier. So love it.
And you also hit on a good point there. Like Julie and I see some really unique trends as like people's preferences change, the enters the workforce that like a lot of gifting companies out there probably don't see yet. And I would say drinking is a big one. I think back in the day, like maybe, I don't know what we talking about, like maybe
I thought we
45
were
years.
young.
Yeah.
When the grass
Like-
is green.
Yeah. we used to think like alcohol was a safe gift, right? Kind of like a candle. But now what we're seeing in our trends is it's actually very polarized. Because if you don't drink, it's like there's more of a community now doesn't drink than there was probably 25 years ago.
Yeah. It's funny. I love one of the things that's been really fun for me with Partytrick and different than Wedding World, because like in the wedding world or even like the large scale event production world, alcohol is very prevalent. Like non-alcoholic hasn't hit it yet, right? You think band and booze. When you think of, oh, it's a great wedding, you need to have great band, great booze. That's like every guy's answer
Yes.
when you ask that. But with Partytrick, we have the opportunity, and we've been talking so much about like entertaining at home and your day to day. And that's where the non-alcoholic trend really comes in a lot more. And so learning about some of these phenomenal brands, I was actually on a call earlier today with a new non-alcoholic brand that I'm like mildly obsessed with. And it's been really fun to see how these trends shift, but I don't think that gets, I mean, I wasn't aware of this like a year ago. And so how would I, if I like in a more traditional corporate business, like what I had to give, how would I be aware of that? Wouldn't be. I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
Exactly.
I go out to drinks with my coworkers after work and that's it. Yeah.
Right. And that's why I think people are latching on to this platform, is because they're now gifting to their employees new hires that tend to be Gen Z employees. And so they want them to feel seen. And some of these gifting platforms are a bit more dated on what they offer.
Yeah.
And it's not like dating is what we're learning.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what Monica was saying before is so true about the desire both to take the action and to spend on it. Like people intellectually understand how important it is to build those relationships and to lay those foundations, whether we're talking about work or home or wherever it is. It's just that if you don't have the information at your fingertips and you don't have the methods of execution, like probably a thing that's going to fall by the wayside. So we do see a lot of employers specifically leveraging it for that and saying, okay, great. Tell me what to do so that I can start to build this.
Do it the right way. I love it. Okay, so slight pivot, and then we'll come back to this a little bit. But I want to ask, do either of you like, and the answer can be no, don't worry. You don't have to change it. But do you all host? Like, do you host at home? Okay,
Yeah.
everybody nods, yes.
Definitely, yes.
Okay, what's your favorite occasion to host at home? Like, what is it? Is it a brunch? Is it a taco night? Like, what do you do most?
I
Oh,
love
Bon, you go
attending a
first.
taco night. I have a close I do like taco night. Oh, okay, I'll go first.
Yes.
I love to do brunches.
Mm-hmm.
Probably late brunches, but I love like the foods that come with brunch. They're very light. I love the decor of brunch. It's very floral. I would say those are the ones I enjoy the most. Just more fun with decor and food.
Yeah.
I love that. Monica and I are like yin yang. This is why we make such good co-founders. She's always like up and ready with the sun and on top of stuff. And I'm like, catch me around 5. We'll do happy hour at my place. Not really, obviously, I'm pregnant, but my husband and I think are better like happy hour hosts. We're big into vinyl. Like that's what we asked for as wedding presents, like for everybody to bring us a record that like reminded us of them or vice versa. So our collection is pretty good at this point. I'm pretty excited about it. So brunch and Monica's, and then we'll do progressive and do happy hour.
I love that. And it's a great point in terms of like, I think again, going back to that band and booze music and how it sets a tone and sets a scene. And I think it's those little things that go into a gathering, and having the right music, having the right like vibe from whether it's music or whether it's the decor. Everyone has something that they're going to feel strongly and passionately about. And everyone also has their big pain point. So I like, what do you hate about hosting? Again, and I used hate, and that's fine to use that word there. Is there anything in particular?
I think my downfall is always judging quantity, because to me, the absolute worst thing that could happen is you run out of food or you run out of alcohol, and like people aren't provided for. And I'm just like not that good at a spatial reasoner or a volume reasoner. So I always err on the side of overbuying, and then we're eating goat cheese for like the next billion years after we have the people over. So I think that's my downfall.
What's interesting is I love FERT though. That FERT after the party, you're exhausted, but your fridge is full with good food.
Like, I've got leftovers and I don't have to cook now for a week. Yeah, that's true. That's
Yeah.
true. It's maybe I'll be eating goat cheese the whole time, but yeah.
Yep. I would say my pain point, you made a good point, Julie. I would say it's the measure of time it will take to be ready for when that door opens. That is an art and has taken me, and I don't think I nailed it, but when I nailed it, it feels so good. But I have been like, I've been that person where the first guest is in there and I hadn't showered yet. And I'm just like, oh, how did this happen? Like I
Mhm.
just, spent too much time cleaning in the family room and then lost track. So like I've learned over time to get better, but there's a lot. I bake a lot of like that I freed up before people enter.
Well, I
Very
have a really good new solution for you since that
Okay.
time management. It's called our timelines with Partytrick. So you
I
don't know
need
this yet,
this.
but we're actually shifting a little bit. One of my favorite features, and I'm just sharing because I'm right there with you. I can judge time when I'm doing a large scale event, but time at home is really, really hard for me. And then you go into the gathering and you feel like stressed or behind, and then your guests feel that. But when you enter a party into our platform, you'll start getting very similar to your like 10 days out. You get a 10-day
Okay.
out, like basically drip campaign. And it's now going to be coming as a push notification as of like 2 weeks from now. Everyone, we're recording in June. So it'll be out by the time this is live. And you can actually like make it dynamic. So if you, for instance, need to have a reminder to put in a cake at a certain time, it'll send you a reminder of when to put in the cake if it's like a birthday party.
Oh my God.
My favorite, Monica,
This
what I
is
did on these notifications when we were crafting them, I strategically put like take out the garbage, take a
Yes.
shower.
So the shower.
It's the shower and it's running out of time. And so it sends you notifications throughout the day, starting like 10 hours before what you should be doing, when you should be doing it to prevent that. And there is a little
Awesome.
buffer. I'm a mom. I have 2 kids. I have a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old, and everything takes 10 times longer than you can imagine when the kids come and then they stall. And I'm like, guys, we're having people. And they're like, it doesn't matter to them. They don't care. But it's a stressor. And I don't want my guests to arrive feeling stressed out. Like,
Yeah.
like seeing my,
Right.
hey, I'm stressed, or then they're stressed because they've walked into like chaos.
Yes.
So,
And the 10 hours before that like makes sense. And that is probably accurate. And I think probably a lot of people buffer like 2 hours.
oh, yeah.
probably.
Also,
And
there's like
maybe.
stuff you can do the night before. And this like it's very funny because there's a lot of similarities in terms of execution with what you guys are doing with present, where it's like this drip, it's reminding you in advance. So you're not getting to that point of compression where you're like, oh, I either missed it or I botched it and oh, I'm not gonna do anything at all. And then relationships fail. Well, maybe not fail, but they're not as robust as they could be. Right.
Yeah.
So I love how there's so much similarity even from an execution perspective there.
Right? It's like we have notifications for so many other things and brands do it all the time. It's like, why not build those flows for things that we actually need to improve our lives?
Our
So I think
lives.
that's great.
Yeah.
I think that these everyday things that make our lives just like a little bit easier. They seem, I'm going to use, like, you guys will get this when I say it, but they seem like vitamins, but they're really painkillers. If you don't know what I mean, go listen to it. But long story short, there are these pains that we all have, and it's just our day to day life. And you're like, oh, it's fine, then I'll just handle it. It's my day to day. It's not my professional life. But honestly, how you show up in your personal impacts your professional so much, and vice versa. And so, how we can optimize, but not in a like, oh, I need to be super efficient. Just enjoy it so we can be present with the ones that we love and have the connection that we all need. Like there's so much of a need for that people don't really realize. It just gets brushed under a rug.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
think Julie actually has a really cool stat on like the vitamin industry.
Okay.
Like,
Wait.
We
Do you want to tell
always-
me?
We always joke about this. I don't know exactly what the
Okay.
number is, but when people sometimes say in reference to things having to do with relationships or whatever, like, oh, vitamin, not a painkiller, they're always like, well, vitamins are a $1 zillion industry. I think like people are willing to invest in small changes that you can make to your daily life. They're going to make you happier and healthier as a human being, right? Something doesn't need to be staunching bleeding in order to make a measurable difference to your mental and emotional health.
Oh, I'm so spot on. Right there with you. I mean, it's again why you stay on top of things versus just like take a painkiller. Yes, it makes you feel better, but it doesn't solve the problem.
I try to avoid painkillers,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah. And then you feel gross afterwards too.
right, your
Right.
biome's messed up. You need to take prebiotics. Like, yeah.
Exactly. We're trying to get at the underlying symptoms.
Yeah.
Oh,
not the
yes.
disease.
Let's become doctors as well. Just kidding.
Yeah.
Um,
Just pick up a
yeah.
side hustle. Yeah.
I love it. Okay, so just a little bit, I want to talk because we're talking parties and gifting and relationships. I get asked the question a ton about hostess gifts. And is it too much? Is it too little? What are the appropriate things? What are the not appropriate things to do? I mean, in my perspective, if you're showing up and you're showing up and being present and you're acknowledging whether it's before or after, it doesn't really matter. Like the intentionality versus just doing for the sake of doing is what matters the most. But I'm curious, like even down to like, do you have a favorite go-to if you have to take someone a hostess gift? How do you approach gifting around entertaining specifically?
Yeah. So that's actually interesting because what we've learned is it depends on your relationship with the host
Yeah.
and what you want to give. But also, since you did attend it, if you have noticed something while you attended the event that the person enjoys or mentioned is missing or that they could use, that's always a great thing to purchase, I would say. And like I said, price points are variable. Depends on your, like, I think you need to take into account your own budget.
Fully.
Budget of the event. Is this a massive party? Are they throwing it for you versus like, are you just attending as a guest? I think the price varies there. But I think just showing some kind of gratitude, which could easily be a handwritten note, just saying thank you.
Ding, ding, ding. Like it doesn't even have to be if budget's not there.
Right.
A handwritten note, a thank you so much acknowledgement. Yeah.
Yes. And a card goes so much further than a text message.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
actually science around having something physical from the other person that like imprints in their brain so that they
Yeah.
remember it.
I love that.
And I'll add on one just like very granular tip there, which is don't bring flowers. And if you do bring flowers, bring a vase because there's nothing worse than being a host who's in the middle of last minute preparations and taking stuff out of the oven. And somebody walks in with a very well intentioned and probably very beautiful bouquet that you then have to redirect and find a vase for and, sort of rejigger what you're doing at that moment in time. So
That's actually
you're so
great.
spot on. I don't know if
Yeah.
I've ever actually told people that, but I hate it. I don't like, I mean, I love flowers. I'm a big flower person. Maybe like send flowers before or something after, or if it's potted, but bringing flowers direct from the grocery store that then puts more work on my plate to go find a vase when I'm running around, not fun.
That's one of our sort of like foundational gifting tips is it's not a gift if it creates more work for the recipient.
My mom, this is okay. So I was a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old, as I mentioned. My mom thinks that some of these gifts that she gives me to do with the children, mom, I love you, by the way, that like are great for me. Like my son might like it. So for instance, like he's obsessed with Legos and she gives him a lot of Legos, which is great. And now he can go and do them himself. He's 8. But when he was younger, she'd give him these, but it ultimately meant that I was trapped for hours and hours doing something that like I don't really love doing. And again, this is a weird way of bringing this up, but it was a great gift for him. It was probably a little bit too early and it caused a lot of pain and work on my end where I'm like, oh my God, like again, I know he loves it, but this is so not fun. So it's like thinking about also the what are the words I'm looking for? Unintended consequences.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, always send my son Legos. He loves them, but yeah.
Now they've converged, right? Now's the right time.
Now is the right time. Yes. Know what's developmentally appropriate, what will be appreciated. Again, it goes down to the likes and dislikes and preferences. And it's a little bit far to go into kids, but it truly is. Like, is it adding more work or is it something that kind of is appreciated and a liked thing? So
Yeah. And in our marketplace, what we learned too is sometimes you don't know that much about this person.
yeah.
So we did purposely include products that if they had multiple of, they wouldn't be upset. Things they can consume. Because like you mentioned, you get so much, like if you're a host of a lot of parties, you'll just accumulate stuff. And sometimes people live in smaller places or just they're minimalist, don't want a lot of stuff to store. So we've purposely included a decent amount of foods and candles and scents to have like a good variety. So if you don't know the person, we put some of the best sellers towards the top.
I love that. Consumable gifts, good one.
Yeah.
For sure.
Definitely. You never want to be making any judgments about somebody else's home or decor or anything else like that.
I think that's like the worst gift you can send someone, actually.
Yeah.
If we want to talk about worst gifts now,
Yeah.
I would say sending them like decor items for their home is probably not a good idea.
What's like jumping in my memory right now is I used to get told by a lot of couples that they didn't want to have a registry. And I was like, okay. And I totally get it. Like, it's a gift that people are coming. You don't want to tell them that you need these items. And I understand that from their perspective. Let's just go away with it. The problem is you end up with a ton of stuff that you don't want if you don't have a registry. So that's a weird way of like bringing this kind of in a way back to the event world and weddings. But like, it's true. If you need to kind of express some of those preferences because no one wants that like home sweet home in their house, right? And whether it's a hostess gift or a couple. And so that's how I would go to them and like having guidelines. People want to give something that you're going to like, not just something for the sake of giving it. And so in the wedding space, it's appropriate to have a registry. I personally don't like life registries, but being able to have a place where you can put your preferences is like that perfect in between where it's not like, okay, I'll put up another family example. My sister has like a great wish list that's on a Pinterest board. So it's really easy. I know where to go find what she
Oh.
wants. And I find that actually in a really positive light. But it's like the closest thing to a registry that's not actually being like, please send me this. I mean, I've gotten registries for like 4-year-old birthday parties, which I'm like, oh, okay. It's
Interesting.
a presumptuous way to do, in my opinion, a presumptuous way to kind of show
Yeah.
preferences. And so I think if you can more tactfully show preferences for your whoever you're gifting to, and especially, I mean, that's even for people that are close, but for people that you don't know as well, and you have to do potentially from a work perspective, or you get invited to some like house party, what have you, having a likes and dislikes is so good or neutral. And yes, do not send the home sweet home thing to anyone, please.
Yeah. And you won't if you use our platform because we already like filter what we put on there, and that did not hit the cut.
Good.
Okay,
Okay, I love this.
Mine's up
Yeah.
there.
Oh, funny. I love what you guys are doing. I love a connection and community and being really intentional about how we're fostering all of this. And I'm so excited to see, where and how things go. So tell me, how can our listeners, how can I support you guys with Present? Where can people find you? Yeah, tell us a little more.
Yeah. So you can find us online at thepresentapp.co. And we would just love for people to come and check it out. All sorts of different use cases that it can be helpful in, whether you're an individual who wants to take care of friends and family, somebody running a business and you want to take care of your employees, you're a client facing person who's trying to build up your book of business and retain and engage new folks, all the way up through enterprise businesses. So it's really a one size fits all kind of solution for building the relationships that you need to thrive.
Love it. Monica, it looked like you were going to say something. Was there anything else you wanted to
Yeah.
add there?
No,
Okay, cool.
I think Julie had nailed it. We do have a mobile app that we are beta testing as well. So we have it on web and mobile. So just depends
Nice.
on how you want to join because we know a lot of people are on the go. So
Yes.
and are in front of their computers.
I'm so excited for you guys. I'm going to go ahead and in the show notes, we'll link out to the website and some other just goodness for everyone. And please go check out the Present app and follow Monica and follow Julie. Look at them on Insta and all the fun things. And let's make us a more connected community. So here's to it.
Thanks
Love
for having
this.
us, Virginia. So fun to chat with you.
Thanks,
Yes,
guys.
thank you. And I'm so excited to check out this timeline feature. I'm very excited. I
I'm
need it
done.
in my life.
Yes. Talk soon.